Hey everyone, welcome to Collector Chatters episode 66. I'm your host Migs here with my co-host Charlie, as always, and we're back with another great episode. We're going to talk about the latest Funko news, couple pops and stuff that got us excited, but there was a ton of releases for May the 4th, so it's going to be definitely some Star Wars heavy stuff we're going to talk about.
And if you're listening on podcast platforms, please make sure you're following us. And over on YouTube, make sure you're subbed to our channel, like this video, comment, and hit that notification bell so you know when new episodes come out. All right, with that being said, let's chat.
All right, everyone, let's chat it up. Let's talk about this week's releases and stuff. We've been gone for about 2 weeks, so we'll go over a couple of things that were announced in the last couple of weeks for Funko. It's mostly going to be pretty Star Wars heavy. Obviously, May the 4th just recently passed, and we know that that's a big Star Wars day, but Funko specifically usually does announce a lot of stuff, and there was some pretty good, awesome lines and things that were announced for Star Wars this time around. But we'll start off with, the non-Star Wars stuff. I guess we can get into
Yeah.
something that, you thought was pretty cool that was announced within the last couple of weeks, whether it was like a rumor or announced or whatever you
Yeah,
think.
one of my favorite pops that was announced was for New Belgium Brewery, the Voodoo Ranger pop. I mean, when I saw this, I was like blown away. I was like, oh my, I couldn't believe they're actually going there and making this Funko Pop. I
Yeah.
think it's super cool, especially if you're a beer fan, someone who I feel like this is one of those pops that if you never will buy another Funko Pop in your life, you only want one. This is a niche for that. Like, I do
Yeah.
feel like some people will want this if they see it in the store. And I also feel like they should be selling it at their website or at their brewery, stuff along those lines. I think it'd be super cool.
Yeah. It would make sense if they did do that. Like you said, like whether it was on their website or at the actual brewery. But it's definitely cool. And it's obviously like a pretty cool looking character. Like it's not just like something plain and basic. Like it
Yeah.
just looks awesome. Anyways, it's always has looked cool, even on the bottles and stuff. So the fact that we're getting that, it's pretty cool because then it makes you think like, is there gonna be any other ones or any other like, whether it's a beer brewery or something that they have like some type of ad icon, I guess you can say in a way. This is what it is.
Is this the
If they will
first?
come out.
I mean, and anyone listening, you can always let us know in the comments because I know a lot of people let us know that there's actually Barbie pops when last episode we said there wasn't, which we
Yeah.
love when people do that because we're not always right. Has
Hmm.
there ever been an alcoholic beverage Funko Pop like for a brand? I think this is the
I
first
don't
one.
know. Yeah, not that I mean, like I said, off the top of my head, no, not nothing that I can think of. Um, or somewhat related to one, maybe. Let us know if there is, like you said. But yeah, I can't think of anything.
Yeah,
At
neither
least
can
when I
I.
think about it. When I saw this, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's why I thought like maybe this will open it up to other things, but it's interesting to see nonetheless. But yeah, that was definitely one I also thought was really cool. That was announced. And was like, wow, that's pretty badass that they're gonna start doing that, hopefully. And it's a cool
Yeah,
looking mold, like I said. That mold's sick. We also had so I do love this movie. So there was Corpse Bride movie moment. That was announced. Pretty cool looking.
yeah,
It's a little kind of random in the sense like we haven't really got much stuff for this, and it's like an older movie, obviously. So just kind of something that they're gonna just throw out there again, just get some more hopefully something. But the moments are really tough for me. Like they look awesome, they're great, but it's always been a space thing with me with like the any of the movie
yeah. I
moments.
agree.
So don't really have too many of them. But yeah, I don't know what you thought of it.
I thought it was cool, but I love that movie. But once again, like pretty random, but that's not a bad thing. It just was not expecting it, but
Yeah.
it's still a cool one. Another thing that they announced, which I was actually really surprised about as well, but for different reasons, was the next train in the Disney 100 train line. It was Darth Vader.
Hmm.
I expected that to be straight up just like Disney like animated characters, especially dealing with Walt. So it makes me believe we're definitely gonna get a Marvel one and probably a Pixar type character. I just assumed with the first one being Steamboat Willie, it would have been more old school like that. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
how I
kind of
feel about
random.
it. Yeah,
Kind of random that it's like a mix like that. Like I get it, it's all like Disney property and like whatever, but it almost like just doesn't go together. It's not even like like it being Steamboat Willie, which was like the old school classic black and gray style. Then you got like a Vader. Like it's just like
Yeah,
way
it's weird.
different. It just did not seem like I don't know what they were thinking, but
No. Yeah,
yeah.
so I was surprised by that.
Yeah,
That's a
I
lot
remember
coming
seeing it.
from
And I
a
was
huge
like,
Star Wars fan.
yeah, it's a cool like one hand. He's like he's inside and the ship's
Yeah,
up.
it's
Like the
cool.
setup is cool, but it's like it's just a weird tag along to that rest of the train per
Yeah.
se. Um, but we did. We also had some sports stuff was announced. There was a couple NHL pops I think they were announced, but I think they've been out for a little while now or on pre-order
Yeah,
or
some
saying so.
NHL legends.
Yeah, some of the
They weren't
legends.
new. It was
Yeah,
weird.
it was a bit odd. But I thought the NHL pops were pretty cool. Or not NHL pops, the
The
NASCAR
NASCAR
pops.
ones.
Yeah, the NASCAR pops were pretty cool. So it was like a Jeff Gordon one. It's like him standing up holding a car, which is cool. Then there's obviously like the ride one, which we know they've already made these with their head popping out. But it just made me think of like where are the Formula One ones, especially we've seen like kind of some rumors to them. They announced the first two that came out in that wave, and then that was it. We didn't get any other ones. There's plenty of other drivers. And then there was even like rumors of a list. I don't know if it was a list or something that we saw or picture of a list or something. Um, where there was going to be like a ride version. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense because in a Formula One car, their head
Yeah.
is exposed. So like would make more sense than in like in the NASCAR where they just stick them in there.
Yes.
So it's like, why don't they do this? It just makes way more sense. Especially because Formula One right now is getting really big and popular, like amongst other people that probably were not into it in the past. And me being like a really big fan, like I definitely loved the fact that they started to come out with the line and they just kind of halted it. So it's a little weird. The season's already going on now, so it'd be like perfect like time to start getting this stuff coming out. But I guess we'll see. Hopefully, we do get some more of those. But it was just kind of like, okay, that's cool. That they're getting some more NASCAR. That line's pretty big. But it just made me think of that, especially when it comes to a ride specifically. Like we need an F1 car with damn driver in it. That'd be sick.
Completely agree. Totally. And it goes, like you said, perfect for the pop ride form.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna fire through a quick, continue with the ad icons. It's just kind of funny because we were joking in our last episode, like they haven't really come out with some of the like foodsy looking type ones, even though they're considering these ad icons. And I actually like these ones. I think all these ones were pretty cool. One was for Blockbuster, which
Yep.
like
Which was sick.
looks it's super sick. I'm definitely getting that for my collection. I don't normally collect any of these. I mean, it's super nostalgic and like, it looks just like when you would rent a video from there. Another was an Eggo waffle, which I thought this one looked pretty cool. There's two versions of it. I don't think this needed to be done. I kind of wish one was a chase if they really wanted to have the one has syrup on it and it's scented, and that's an entertainment exclusive, where
Mm-hmm.
the other one's just plain. But once again, I thought this one was pretty cool. And then to round it out, we got a Chuck E. Cheese one, which I think is awesome as well. So all in all, I thought all these were kind of fire. What did you think?
Yeah. Yeah, the the Blockbuster one was so cool because it's like
Yeah.
literally a VHS
Yeah.
tape and it's like that iconic look. Like, so that was actually a really awesome one. The Lego or Eggo one, I think it's cool. It fits more into that whole foodie thing. Like
Yeah.
it to me it reminds me of like when they made the like I think they made some that were like cupcake, like hostess style
Yeah.
cake type things, and they look very similar to that. It's round, whatever. But like you said, like it's cool that we're getting like a scented pop. Like this, like to me, sometimes it makes scented pop. So you're like, what the hell does it make sense? Like a scented pop as like syrup that you smell. It's kind of like cool. It makes
Yeah.
sense. But yeah, like making it more like a chase would probably make more sense. Or like this is like a perfect opportunity to make like the full waffle and then have one be like with the waffle bitten off. Like that should have been
Yes.
a chase. Like they should do something like that. It just makes more sense to make it kind of cool. Um, and then the last one, which was
The Chuck E. Cheese.
the Chuck E. Cheese one. Okay, yeah, which is cool. That's obviously like a big like I've never really was a big Chuck E. Cheese person. I honestly think I've always tried to think if I've ever even been to one. And I want to say I went to one once, but it
Okay.
was just like never like a thing. I never always knew what Chuck E. Cheese was and everything, but it just never was like a place or a thing that I'm just like, oh my God, I love it. It was my childhood type of thing. So I was always kind of like, yeah, about Chuck E. Cheese. Like to me, it was just like an overrated type of thing. But I know it was back in the day, it's still
Yeah.
around, which is crazy, but I'm sure
Which
like
is
now it's
crazy.
nowhere near as what it was.
No.
But it's a great character. Like that's obviously a very well known like seeing him and like it's Chuck E. Cheese, so like it's cool to see a pop of that. Like that makes sense, like as an icon, or an ad icon. But overall, yeah, a pretty good thing. And Funko obviously had that kind of just waiting for us to say that they haven't announced any, so that they can just announce it. And they were just waiting after they heard the episode, but because we literally were just talking about it. It's so funny. Um, the next one I want to talk about, this is almost like a line that's becoming like a line that I want to have all of these, and it's impossible. And it's a goddamn 18-inch mega size pops. So this was always like something that was so limited, and like we barely had them early on. We really kind of got a batch of them, and then we didn't get like 18-inch pops for like a really long time, which is totally fine because obviously they're very expensive, usually about $100. They take up a ton of room. The boxes are enormous. You can't show them without like while they're in the box because they literally don't have a window because they're so heavy
Yeah.
and so big. But then we got the Iron Man one that we were talking about, which we both got, which was super sick. The Batman one, obviously, and then there's like the classic Batman one. And they announced there's gonna be a Mickey one, which
Yeah.
looks freaking amazing. Um, it's rumored to be like a Sam's Club
Yeah,
like
which
exclusive, which is kind of
thanks.
funny. But there is a picture of it showing up on the Funko site. So, and Funko has been selling all of their exclusive stuff on there as well. So it's not like you would have to go to Sam's Club, which you would think when it's an exclusive, that's what exclusives should
It
probably be,
means.
but they're clearly not. Um, but it's interesting. I mean, it kind of makes sense though. It's an oversized pop, and Sam's Club makes big oversized things for
I
mass,
mean, it does
whatever,
make sense.
so it does make sense. The one that the fact that it's Disney, or Mickey and Disney and stuff, is a little what's kind of odd. It's not like there's a connection to Sam's Club. Well, not that I know, Sam's Club. But yeah, it's cool. It's classic Mickey. I mean, I don't know what you think about it, but it's
I
pretty.
mean,
I mean, I know you're a huge diehard Disney, so you gotta. I mean, like of
it's
all
amazing.
things, like
Yeah,
that's a statement. Like, dude,
I need
Mickey.
to
Like,
have it. Yeah,
want it so bad,
it's
bro.
awesome. Like,
Yeah.
but I am. It's just so funny because everyone knows I've been a hardcore hater of Funko selling other exclusives on their website, but
Hmm.
I don't have a Sam's Club membership, so I
Yeah.
really wouldn't be able to get that. There aren't many. There's like one Sam's Club that's relatively even near me that I would go to, but it's not
Oh
even
yeah.
close.
There's a couple by me,
I don't have a
but
lot. We're more like Costco and PJ's,
yeah, we have
which
all
I
of them. It's crazy.
so I'll buy it off Funko.com. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be the first time I've bought an exclusive from them that's not theirs.
So that's good. But it's awesome. Yeah, I thought it was sick.
And then I know we kind of talked about it, tease it a little bit, but continue with that. The Vader one,
Hmm.
which
Officially, and like came
officially
out.
got announced, which I know we're going to talk more about Star Wars heavily, but this one had already been announced and it did come out. And going off of kind of what you said, they're kind of making more of these now, but or it
Hmm.
could just be a coincidence. We're going to get these two and we won't have many for a while. It's one of those things where I actually think this is one of their coolest products, but it is an entry point or even just the size where like it's more for the hardcore collectors and that's really it.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
really, the size alone, obviously, like you see them obviously in like a lot of like storefronts will have them as like a piece that
yeah,
like, with other pops around it and stuff. But like in a home, it's not like the easiest thing to have. I mean, out of box, even though they're big, you can set them up somewhere a little bit
yeah,
easier. But in the box, like I tell you, these boxes are enormous. Um, but yeah, there was even recently a Boba Fett one that I know it just came out, and that's still also on Funko Shop. You can get that one, which probably looks super sick. But like this Vader one is like, I mean, it's pretty epic. It's just interesting because we never had really big pops for Vader or anything like that. And then we just recently got the 10-inch for the first
yep.
time. And now they're coming out with the 18-inch. So it's almost
This,
like, oh man, like that's like I would have chose one over the other, and I probably would have went the 18 over the 10, but I already had the 10-inch. And now I'm like contemplating, like it's still up. It's something that, like you said, not everyone's gonna go after because it is
yeah, you
pricey, and
got to get
obviously
it.
not everyone can get it. But yeah, I still need to get it. I need to get it and then somehow hide it somewhere. But
Yeah.
that box, that thing ships in an enormous spot. I don't even know. We'll see. I've been doing videos lately with my daughter, and she like absolutely loves unboxing stuff. And we've been doing sodas mostly, which I still have some other ones I need to open with her. But That would probably be a pretty cool. I mean, not that she really knows who Darth Vader. Like, if I got the Mickey one, she'd go
Yeah,
fucking nuts. Like,
she's going
it's
nuts.
that'd be, that'd be
So you got
sick.
to get the
So,
Mickey one.
yeah, no. Well, we'll see when that comes out. Um, but yeah, like you said, going along that with the Vader. I mean, we can go into the Star Wars stuff because there was definitely
Yeah,
a ton of the news that we're going to talk about was
tons.
mostly going to be Star Wars anyways. But like you said, to kick it off, obviously the 18-inch one, and that did come out on May the 4th, like officially, where you could buy it. It was cool because they had a buy three get one free, right? Is that what the sale was?
Yep, they did.
Like a buy three get one free. That was one of them. So I guess if you wanted 18 or 4 18 inches, you could have got one free, I guess, which would have been
Yeah,
crazy.
two Vaders, two Bobas.
So that was definitely something pretty cool. But then along with that, we can kind of just go along maybe some of the things that we thought were,
Yeah,
some of our favorites. I thought this was pretty sick. The 2-pack, there's a Darth Maul Ahsoka 2-pack, which is a GameStop exclusive, I believe, right?
yep,
And them like battling. So that's a pretty awesome one. I know ahead of Ahsoka coming out soon. So obviously, I feel like all like these two characters above like any other ones. I mean, other Star Wars characters are pretty sick, but these specifically, I feel like every time they have a pop, they're always like really sick.
I agree.
Especially Ahsoka, like all the Ahsoka recent stuff, they just look so awesome. Like I don't know if it's just the way she looks and her color and stuff, but like it lends well and it goes really nice to a pop. And then obviously him too, like in his colors. So maybe they just like are perfect for pops. But yeah, the two of them always come out with like really awesome molds, or they
I
make
mean,
molds of them.
I completely agree with you because they're not what makes those two characters great is they are obviously different alien races. They're not just
Mhm.
humans. So you do get the awesome details. And I mean, Ahsoka's one of my favorite
Colors.
characters. All of her pops are sick, and this one is a big moment in the finale of the Clone Wars series. So
Mhm.
this one's awesome. I
And
wish it
maybe
was.
even because they originated as like animated,
Yep,
like or like they have animated versions of them at least. So like you got like it's a little easier. I'm not that it's easier, but like because even her animated version and Rosario Dawson version look almost exactly the same. So like, but
they
it's
do.
cool that like yeah, you could still like I feel like animated pops usually for the most part, not always, but for the most part look a little better in detail than like some human ones, even though some of the human ones look awesome. I feel like for the
There's one
most
thing
part.
though, they've made so many mall pops at this point. He is one of my favorite characters, but I mean, I'm pretty sure you haven't seen this, but I mean, it's not necessarily a big spoiler, but when Maul comes back to like life in the Clone Wars, he has basically like spider legs, like robotic, like all like of a
Mhm.
like spider. I don't get why they have not made a Funko Pop of that.
At
Drives
all.
me insane at all. They haven't made one,
Weird.
and I'm just like, come on, we're getting all these molds of him, which I know this is easier for them to make, but they need to make that one. So Funko, if you're listening, I want that. I want that.
An announcement next week.
Um, another one that were announced that were I love when they make these were game ones. So continuing with the GameStop exclusives, they came out with 4 different pops from Star Wars Battlefront, and
Mhm.
it's 3 different clone troopers, which I'm always a fan of those, and they're all different detail, different color ones, and it's awesome if you have a bunch in your collection. And then we got another General Grievous, which he's kind of battle worn. So we
Yeah.
have this will be the third one that they've made of him, but it's still cool. I like how he's
But they're
holding
all
his
different at
lightsabers.
least.
Exactly, they're all different, so I
Yeah.
can't really complain. And I always love this series when they make these.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely cool. I mean, like I don't know enough about this, like the game and like to see like the clone troopers, like, they look very similar to me. Obviously, I know there's different colors and they all are a little different when you really know it. But the General Grievous has always been like a pop that I think was really sick. Obviously, like the OG regular one, I have that one. And then they came out the one with like the 4 lightsabers.
Yep.
I think was the last one, which was a pretty big deal because that previously was the only one that they ever made. And then now we have another one, but this was cool. Like you said, like one half of his face is like completely all torn up. So it's definitely a good mold. Um, then we had interesting timing on this, but like we are getting a wave two finally of Obi-Wan Kenobi pops from the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. We talked about this before, how like when that first wave came out, like it was an interesting group of what they announced. and there was certain characters and certain people that we just were like, why don't they make this one already? Why don't they have any of these? And we finally started getting like more of this line now. So like even the Grand Inquisitor, I know, was a big one that we spoke about. The Fifth Brother, because we got that other one, which was the character from the show, which wasn't originally one of
Yep.
the ones, right? She came out with a few options, but like the Fifth Brother was one we were like, why don't they make any cool ones like this? Obviously, we got a Obi-Wan, of course. We got a young Luke, which is a cool one, the young Luke one. If you remember that from the show. Two Purge Troopers. One's a Funko Shop exclusive. It looks exactly the same. What is it, like metallic or
I
something,
think it's a
or
different stance. I don't
little
understand.
different? Yeah, like his legs are a little different. Yeah,
One's
honestly, it's like
marching and
very,
one's kind of like positioned to shoot.
yeah,
It's
very
dumb.
like whatever. Then we got a Ned B one, which is pretty cool. He looks all like kind of beat up. And then the Darth Vader one here, like for the first time we're getting like Darth Vader looking completely different. And it's something that we spoke about specifically when we were talking about the show. Specifically, we were talking
Yep.
about like this needs to be a version, cracked helmet type of thing. We obviously got him a million times as a just normal Vader. We do have the one where he doesn't have like anything on. That one does exist, but there was never one like this where it was like both things that you see have
This is
part of his
awesome.
helmet and his face fitting through. It's a Walmart exclusive, which is interesting. But yeah, that's a pretty sick one. I mean, not being like super diehard Star Wars, I'm usually pretty picky and choosy. That one's probably one that like I would, of all of them, like want. Some of the other ones are like pretty cool, but like I'm not like so hardcore on them. But it was a pretty big wave of this like second wave. There was also a keychain that was young Leia, so like her as a kid, with Lola, which of course we had our, you know,
Yep.
thoughts on that, carried that whole little thing too as well during that show, I remember. Um, but yeah, definitely. What do you think about the line?
Well, I'm gonna say, going off the keychain, it's weird that we're just getting a keychain of Leia and not an actual pop. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's random.
It's really random. It makes me almost feel like we will get it as like a con exclusive, but it makes it like not as cool already having the keychain, or like is surprised when you see the mold, because like I actually think this mold is sick and I love that she's holding Lola,
Mhm.
because I think it's weird we never even got a Lola pop.
Yeah, we
This
talked
whole
about that. Remember that? Even
Yeah,
Leia as a kid, we talked about how there was never
yeah, like
one.
this whole line, and well, not this wave too, but just like the line in general for the show, the first wave is whack. I'm
Hmm.
sorry. Like they picked really weird characters to come out with. It's not even like Leia's a spoiler. Like she's in that the entire show. I get the
Hmm.
Luke one waiting. I get the Vader with his half like helmet chopped
Hmm.
off, which that one is the star of the show, as you said. Even the Inquisitors, like, they weren't surprises, they were all in the trailer, so, uh, it's weird. This should have been wave 1 is what I'm getting at, and a lot of characters that they released that didn't sell very well, I feel like should have been, like, con characters,
Hmm.
and also point out this is the first Obi-Wan pop from this show that he's igniting a lightsaber, which is also wild to think because there's a few that were made in wave 1.
Hmm.
But
That's true. You did say that too before.
yeah, like a lot of the ones we predicted or we said we wanted are in this wave, which is cool. So, but I do love this wave overall. So I'm pretty happy. I mean, do we need the two Purge Troopers? No, we didn't. But they're still cool nonetheless.
Yeah.
And then another thing that was announced, well, not announced, we already knew these were coming, but you could buy them officially on May the 4th, was the Biddy Pops for Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
So those came out. I know we had talked about them in the past, but people have them in their hands already. They're super cool. You know, I've said I'm a fan of these. I haven't unboxed any yet, but you can definitely check out be looking for a video of me doing that, because I got all of them and I'm like pumped to get these in my hand. And I know you've ordered some Bitty Pops too. So
Yeah, I got the DC. I got four of those packs, so I'll be opening up those as well soon. I do have those in. Um, I just need to see when I can open. I'll probably open them this week, so look out for that. I'll be probably doing a
cool.
video with my daughter because I feel like she'll love those. Um, we also had some sodas. So two sodas were announced during May the 4th as well. We had a Princess Leia one, which is her just in, playing with the white dress. And then the chase, she's holding on to like a medal.
Yep.
Um, not like, it was a little. I think we feel like we rumored this for a long time ago. We saw like this was like somewhat announced, maybe at a con or something, but like now I guess we got like the official pre-order of it. And I remember even back then we were kind of like questioning like why was this the mold that they chose? Like they
Yep.
didn't do like the buns, and like it was just weird that like it's very plain. Like it's cool to have a pop or a soda of her, obviously, but not the best like effort on, especially with a lot of the Star Wars sodas have been pretty good for the most part. So it's like kind of a miss on their end. I would feel like, especially with such a big character.
Yeah, I feel
Um,
like the common should have been what you said, like her iconic look with the buns and her white
mhm,
dress, and then the chase should have been her holding the medal.
mhm,
Different out. I mean, that would have been like a sick soda. And I don't want to go on and on about this, but like we don't just need these little tiny details to change to be like the money grab that sodas are. I know
yeah,
we all get two, we try to get the chases, but like that would have made it like worthy. Like I would have, I'm gonna get two of these and I'll call it a day, which I know you normally do as well. But
mhm,
if it was both versions of Leia, I would buy until I probably got the
no
chase.
one, yeah,
Like, which I'm surprised at this point Funko doesn't realize that because I'm not a minority in that. Like
no, yeah, of
sometimes,
course.
like
A lot of
you
people
just
have said,
yeah. So they should start doing that. I feel like
but like I just think that since they still sell, they just don't,
yeah,
So it's not like sodas just suddenly stopped selling out because they still do sell.
yeah.
So and that's probably like the only thing that's keeping it going. But the second one was a Greedo one. Pretty cool. Obviously not much difference besides the fact that it's just metallic, same pose and everything. But I think cool enough to still be like, for the most part, when it's a metallic chase, usually it's like different enough to be like, all right, well, that's cool. They obviously could easily change the mold up a little bit or even the stance if they don't want to do too super
Yeah.
crazy. But for the most part, they're usually the same. Not many of them will be metallic and be very different. It's usually just the same exact thing in metallic. But this is just another one. This one's a 12,000 piece. The Leia is 15,000. So decent numbers, not too crazy. The 12,000 is like a good number range. I think anything from like 10 to 12 is like a good number. Anything higher, you're kind of like, all right, that's a little too many. And then lower is like awesome because it's like obviously a lot more rare. But that's just kind of like, the two sodas that were announced. I don't know. What'd you think of that one, the Greedo
Yeah.
one?
I mean, I love the character. I mean, I obviously can be very picky with Star Wars. I mean, the metallic's cool. I could have thought of a better idea
Hmm.
of maybe a chase or even maybe just having him like shoot the gun because like that's like a
Yeah.
big deal like with him and Han, but it's still a sick one. The even that like the pop version of that, like that's like one of the most coveted OG
Yeah.
like Star Wars pop. So it's just cool to get it. So and I
Yeah.
love that character. Another big announcement we got, but this was also teased at that same Funko event that these sodas were, I think, talked about that you alluded to, was all of the pop rides for Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Hmm.
Could now just pre-order them. So we got Ahsoka in her Jedi Starfighter. We got Hera in her ship. We got Obi-Wan. So those top are from Clone Wars. The Hera one is from Rebels, but she's also, as I mentioned in the past, going to be a main character in Ahsoka. And then we also had gotten, which I think this one we could have actually pre-ordered before May the 4th, was Mando and Grogu
Oh
in
yeah.
their ship.
Yeah. Which that one was cool. Yeah, I think that one came out before, like ahead of time, before all
Yeah.
the other ones. Um, But the two, like the what was it? The Obi and the Ahsoka one are cool because they got like droids, the little
Yeah,
droids
they're awesome. The
inside of
details
them too.
insane. Yeah.
So those are really cool. Um, I saw there was what is this? Oh, okay. So there was did you see this thing that was like Jabba's skiff, Luke Skywalker, and
The
it's
one
like a
from Target?
ride. Yeah, is that a ride too, right?
Yeah, that's old though. That they're all gonna connect to make like the actual skiff, like the whole
Oh
big
yeah,
ship,
yeah, because we saw some of those early
which
on.
is weird
So
that they haven't announced any more of those.
yeah,
Like those two they announced a long time ago.
that's
I think they're
weird.
just finally starting to hit Target shelves and pre-orders are actually shipping. Um, once that's complete, that's going to be sick, but it's weird that we haven't gotten more because I feel like normally they do pump those out pretty quickly, or at least reveal them,
Yeah,
and then it takes a
yeah,
week to
it
get
is.
them.
It is a bit odd. Um, but I think that was for the most part the.
Yeah, the only other thing they did, which they already had announced too, you could pre-order, and it was actually a Walmart exclusive, which I found weird, was this new Star Wars card like figure game. It's
Uh-huh.
called Star Wars Rivals. We kind of talked about in the past, like normally the Funko games have kind of, get thrown out to the junkyard, but
Hmm.
I think this one looks pretty cool. I'm curious if they can actually get like a fan base to like play this game.
Yeah,
Um,
not
because
many other games have, I feel like, been popular as games, so it's interesting to see if they do that.
And the one thing that's really interesting about it is Sasha Ventress is one of the characters, the figurines that you get in the starter kit,
Mhm.
which is probably one of the most asked for Funko Pops. They do not have one of her, yet they put it in this game, which I find interesting, which makes me feel like we'll probably get the pop soon.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about.
But that was the
Um,
last big thing.
yeah. We had a so it's not, I don't know if it's like a rumor, but supposedly we're gonna get the Blue Beetle's gonna have some pops. So I did see like the rumor right now is July we'll start getting those. So obviously that movie will be coming out soon. So pretty interested to see more of this and see kind of like what's it's gonna look like. Obviously, we're starting to get more ramped up into getting maybe some more trailers and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see if like how this line goes. Is this going to be a line where they just drop a couple random ones? Are they going to wait till the movie like really announce like is out or like with Marvel we've seen both ways where they've flooded us with a bunch of stuff as stuff came out, and then we've seen the ways where they just like were slow and like No Way Home we get pops 2 years later. Like so
Yeah.
like who knows if like which way what's going to happen with this. I feel
I
like
think it's
it'll
gonna
probably be like a pretty big wave right away. Just
it's funny. I disagree. I think it's gonna be small and or small for a big comic book standards.
uh-huh.
And I'm super pumped for this movie. I love Sholo, who the actor who is playing Blue Beetle. He's, became really famous from Cobra Kai, so he's going to be badass, but I don't think like the overall buzz for this movie is like huge.
Yeah, I don't think either, and I think it's also because like the character's not as
Yeah.
mainstream. Like, not many people really, really know about it. Like, you gotta really be into DC or into comics to really know the
Yeah.
character itself, let alone like to know anything about the movie or how it's
But
gonna.
I've
And I wonder like how it's gonna connect because this is technically one of those movies that's gonna be on their timeline, I believe, right?
It
With the
is, which
new,
means I'm
so
assuming the movie was good because
yeah,
if it wasn't, they wouldn't keep it, in my opinion.
yeah, it's true. They would
It
have left it on
actually
its
was
own.
supposed to be an HBO Max original movie, and they
Oh wow.
decided to change it to become theatrical because they thought it was good,
All right, so
which is a
hopefully
good
it's
sign.
yeah, hopefully it's good. But
Another set of rumored leaked, but we know they were coming, is for the new Indiana Jones
mhm.
movie. Looks like we're getting, at least from the back of the box, the glam shot, four pops from the Dial of Destiny. One being Indiana Jones, in his old look that he is in that movie. And then I think it's all new characters from the new movie. Obviously, we all know I'm a huge fan. I'm super pumped for these, but I do think it's interesting they didn't just announce these with like I would have went all hard out with like this is all the Indiana Jones pops, not like. But I guess we still have a little bit of time for the movie, but
Yeah,
still could have announced them. I think it's
yeah.
weird.
It is a little timing wise was a bit odd, but it made sense. Like because I was actually like I said, I think I said it specifically when we were talking about how they came out with everything, and there wasn't any stuff for the new one. It was
Yeah,
a little surprising. But we knew if they were gonna announce anything with old stuff and redo these, that they definitely were going to make stuff for the new one. Like it just made sense. So now at least we're getting what those are going to be, and it seems like it's going to be pretty cool. Like obviously overall, Indiana Jones seems like it's going to be a really big line now that we're getting a bunch of these
Yeah.
extra ones, versus just a very few that we had early on, uh, back from a while ago. Um, I was gonna say something a rumor that I just thought about it randomly, but we saw so this was like a leak rumor type of thing, that we are gonna get another Michael Jackson
I
album,
knew that's what
a
you're gonna
pop
say.
album,
Yeah.
which obviously we spoke about last time, the Bad album and the actual Michael Jackson like Dancing Like Smooth Criminal. Those two were like officially announced. They're like on pre-order, but we don't have like a date of when they're coming out. But this now is like a leak, basically, like that this is going to be like the next one that they're going to come out with. I know we spoke about potentially, well, we should be able to see Thriller soon as a pop album, but it wasn't. Now it's go off the wall. So that's another great album cover as well. So it'll probably be a really cool looking pop, especially with the pop album with it. But I'm still kind of surprised that Thriller is not one of them. Maybe they just won't do it. Like who knows? But I think like
They
there's
have
enough
to do
Thriller
it.
pops that they could do that they haven't already announced. Like even like I said to him with the wolf mask on from the video would be like perfect. Or even if that's like
Yes.
a chase of the regular version of him with the
It's what
red
they should do.
jacket and stuff on, yeah, that'd be amazing. But yeah, at least we're gonna getting more stuff from this. Now, obviously, the estate is like part of this licensing and everything. So we're gonna definitely be getting more stuff. So look out for that. Hopefully that will be like officially announced. Because again, this was just kind of like a rumored leak that we saw on a couple pages. So
Yeah, and then I think the next thing we should go into is the NFTs,
mhm.
which after a month of waiting, we
So
finally,
crazy.
so crazy. They're announced and they come out today. And
Yes.
that is no other than Hanna-Barbera's The Flintstones,
Yeah.
which I was surprised about because we actually haven't even really talked about this because I know we've all been busy, but this wasn't one of them on that leaked list.
Yeah. No, it wasn't at all. It wasn't at all. What is this a property of? Like what?
Flintstones, it's
Yeah.
Hanna-Barbera.
Oh, Hanna-Barbera. Yeah, okay, you
Yeah.
just said. And we already have
Which is
had,
owned by WB.
yeah,
So
we've had other
yeah.
Hanna-Barberas and stuff. It's not the first one. Um, but yeah, wasn't on like that list. So obviously, that's not necessarily what they're going after. Which we kind of figured it was a little bit of an odd, weird
Yeah.
list, but we just did obviously get a few of them. Doesn't mean that the other ones won't come out. It's just
No.
obviously this was another one. But it was interesting initially that it just was something that didn't drop like right away. Although I'm not like complaining about it, but it was just weird that it took like a month. We were getting things every week and every other week, like for the most part. And now it's like took literally like a month before we finally get another announcement. But honestly, it's a pretty big one. It's definitely something that like justifies some of that time. And it's just definitely like, I don't know. I think it's definitely a big deal for in a sense of like a, an older kind of cartoon type thing that we like can see like a lot of people really wanting. And I
Yeah.
think it's super cool. Like I think the redeemables look amazing and like, the Freddy one and stuff. So like it's pretty sick.
The Freddy's
Oh,
amazing. Like I think the
yeah,
Freddy's
it's
so
so
sick.
cool.
Um, I mean, we knew we were like, I feel like this is a great addition to the NFT line. Um, we kind of made a comment in our I guess the first Hanna-Barbera series was announced. And at the end of the day, it was basically a Jetsons line. And we're like, no Flintstones. Flintstones is probably getting its own line. And that's obviously what happened. It's funny. I actually just finally got my redeemables in for that the other day. So I still need to unbox those. But
For which one?
for series one Hanna-Barbera,
Oh
which
wow.
seems like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
Um, I think these are cool. My only gripe with them, which I guess I go back and forth, people would probably be annoyed if it's the way it was, but it's all just the main characters, which all have Funko Pops. Now they have different outfits, but like I've always loved when they're like random obscure characters. Like I wish they kind of made Flintstones characters that don't already have Funko Pops. if that makes sense. But I know then people would be like, this isn't the Flintstones. How do you not have, Fred as one of them, or Barney, for example?
Yeah, that's true. What? Who are they? Not? They're not one of the ones. They didn't go with them, right? They went with like more of
No, like
the
it's
redeemables,
all the redeemables are the main characters, but like
but
Fred is like making a stake in his,
but
so
they're
he's got
like
like,
weird. Yeah, they're not like just a regular.
they're not regular. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's like a
Barney's,
chef, and Barney was like
yeah.
a fireman or something.
Dino is like,
Maybe Dino's the most
I don't know
regular
if they
one.
make a Funko Pop. I mean, obviously I like the Flintstones, but it's not something I have part of my collection. But
Yeah, I don't think I own any.
I'm assuming there's a Wilma Funko
Yeah, there is.
already.
Oh, like in general. Well, there's
Yeah,
one and she's holding the little like
which is
daughter
cool.
baby.
Which is cool. So that gives it the extra. I really like when they're making all these like pops out that have like a little accessory character.
Yeah,
They're
like
cool.
a tiny pup.
And it's not that I don't like them. They're cool.
Yeah,
Like, I'm gonna go after them. I think they're gonna be a big line, but I think I'm gonna try to get like 2 packs and call it a day.
yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I was thinking, I don't know, I gotta see. I might get a couple, and a couple might end up being like a couple more, but I don't know. We'll see. It's been a while since I've gotten
Yeah,
NFTs, like because even when like the last wave, I think I didn't get any of those, and like so for me, it's been like longer now that I'm like, damn, I haven't had NFTs in forever, um, to open. So I guess we'll see. We're kind of just gonna be like a at the moment thing to see, or like
yeah,
let's see how big these packs are and see if they sell out fast, because it has been a while. So maybe this will be one that's really popular, and it just is it going to
yeah.
be
I
as
think this is
easily
gonna be popular.
accessible? Yeah. So hopefully we'll see. But it's interesting that that's the next one. We talked about it for so long. We were like, oh, what's next? It was taking forever. And we just didn't really think of this, obviously, because, Hanna-Barbera already existed with some of their other characters. So it wasn't like we thought of that right away. Um, but yeah, wonder what's going to be next now, because it's like, do they continue with some of these lines? Do they go back to some of that list, or what's the deal?
I don't know. Where's the Harry Potter one? I'm sorry. I know
Yeah, that
I,
they're
I
not
don't get
even
it.
Star Wars, Harry Potter, like those big ones were still
At
really
least they
waiting
can
for those.
make Harry Potter. I guess that's more like
Marvel
why.
even, but yeah, because it's under that actual umbrella of Warner Brothers
And I
stuff that they have.
really want that rumored Dark Knight one. Like that would be
Yeah,
sick.
yeah, that's true. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, we get those if those are real, because they would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, it
Um,
would be.
but that's gonna wrap it
That's
up. I
it.
think a
Yeah.
little bit shorter. Yeah, a little bit shorter. Nothing. Didn't want to go too crazy this week. Just kind of just get you some of the news, get something out there for you guys to listen to, watch. We appreciate all of you. I know there's been people out there asking us like, "Oh, when's the
I
next
know.
one?" I've been waiting. We got a couple new fans. Shout out to some people that have been recently hearing us, and they're listening to some of our old
Yeah,
episodes. We
which is awesome.
appreciate you guys, which is really cool to go back to listen to some of the original ones. But yeah, this is episode 66. That's going to be it. I appreciate you guys again. Charlie will let us out here, letting you guys know where to follow us and everything. And again, thank you guys so much for everything. Yeah, to the next one.
Yeah, thank you everyone so much for your support. As always, we really, like Mick said, appreciate it. People being like, where are you guys? So like we're happy people are out there actually listening. We have fans. But if
Yeah.
you're listening on podcast platforms per normal, please make sure you're following our podcast so you do know when the new episodes are dropping. And if you're listening on Spotify, interact with the questions and polls we put up there. And please give us a rating on any of the platforms that you're listening on. And then on YouTube, if you could please, please, please like this video, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. That really, really will help us because we still want to continue to grow. And then hit that notification bell so you know when new videos are coming out, because as we just said, NFT videos are probably coming our way. And also, please, please, please follow us on social media. So as you know, at Collector Chatter, and then below we have both of our accounts. If you're on YouTube, you see them, but if you're listening on podcast, it's at pop_Migs and at Collector_Charlie. And with that being said, collecting is the way, and let's go Devils. Till the next episode. Later, everyone.
Bye.